Okay, so now we have a little bit later. Is there anything? Oh, okay. So just I guess it's the beginning of the book. So you know he's like, I want to break up with Spencer. Well, it turns out Spencer, like he meets Spencer and he's like, I want to break. And Spencer's like, actually, I want to break up with you. Devastated. So he then goes to New York. So this is right in the beginning of the book. So you'll read about why he breaks up with him, whatever. That's a separate chapter. And now to welcome me to New York, I'd like to have two amazing assistants: the brilliant, high-belting Julia Murney and the hilarious Harada. Thank you, Julia. Look at Julia's normal outfit, and look how stunning Anne looks, playing a tiny-ass character with dress beautifully. Bring it down. Julia's first. Hello from fabulous New York City. I took the Long Island Railroad to Penn Station this morning and then the subway up to 79th Street. My grandma Sally lives on 80th Street in a beautiful brownstone. She has a floor through, which means her apartment has a window in the front living room that overlooks the street. Then you can walk all the way through her apartment. There's a window in her bedroom that overlooks the backyard. Her guest bedroom has no window, which some people would find too dark and depressing, but I love it because it makes me feel like a real New Yorker. I buzzed when I got to my grandma's place and she opened the door in her usual mood. Crankiness.
You're wearing that?
I didn't even know what that referred to. My coat, hat, pants, shoes. Turns out, none of the above.
Take it off.
She barked while moving the straps of my knapsack off my shoulders.
It's bad for your back.
Ironic advice to be getting from a woman who has what is affectionately known as a dowager's hump amongst polite society, or simply a hunchback amongst fans of the Disney film. Hi, Grandma Sally, I said and gave her a kiss.
Did you eat breakfast yet?
I'm starving, I responded, not actually answering the question. I was too embarrassed to admit that less than 90 minutes after eating 2 bowls of hot cereal at home and 20 minutes after a glazed donut at Penn Station, I was raring for more.
I thought so, so I made you a little something.
Yay! Little something is Jewish for 5 courses. I went into the kitchen and saw eggs, bagels, cream cheese, muffins, blintzes, and both buttermilk and potato pancakes with the requisite applesauce. I dug right in. I poured on the maple syrup knowing I'd burn it off in rehearsal. I didn't know exactly what I'd be doing for Chase, but I assumed I'd be going over dance steps with him. Such an idiot. Going over dance steps with him, running scenes, and possibly stepping in for him during some of the run-through if he needed a rest. Grandma Sally stood over me.
Are you done?
She asked unpleasantly. I couldn't tell if her line reading meant, you're done so soon you barely ate, or are you finally done, you've eaten way more than your share. But one thing I did know was that her question was overflowing with disapproval. I was in the mood for another bagel, but I didn't want to be late to meet Chase, so I told her I was finished. Naturally, she sighed. I didn't have the time to figure out what new dissatisfaction she came up with because I had to flatten my hair and floss. Chase was used to hanging out with male models. I couldn't greet him in his amazing Dakota apartment with a high rise of hair and veggie cream cheese between my 2 front teeth. I fixed myself up, did a quick Listerine, said bye to Grandma Sally, secretly got my knapsack so she wouldn't see, and left at 9:40. The Dakota is only 8 blocks from my Grandma Sally's brownstone, so I was able to walk casually and take in my new neighborhood. I loved it. I visited the Upper West Side many times before and had a few overnights, but because I'm staying for 2 whole weeks, I feel like I really live here. I started nodding to people on the street with the subtext of, hi, fellow Upper West Sider, I too am a resident. When I got to the corner of 77th Street, the light turned red and I decided to try complaining like a real New Yorker. I said, this light always takes so long. I looked at the woman next to me with a, aren't you sick of it too expression, hoping we could commiserate his 2 long-term Manhattanites. She looked confused. What, the light? She glanced at the traffic light and then back at me.
It's been broken and finally got fixed last night.
I looked away. She continued.
I guess you just got here this morning.
I immediately started crossing the street even though the light was still green.
Hey, watch out!
She yelled, but I successfully dodged an oncoming taxi and any more incisive but sadly revealing comments. The morning wasn't going quite as I expected. I'm fairly numb to Grandma Sally's crankery, but I didn't like being spotted as a non-native within minutes. It didn't really matter though. I was about to see one of the most exclusive places in New York, the inside of the Dakota. Last week I did a little research and saw that an apartment there was recently on the market for $28 million. I was hoping I could get a few photos of myself by Chase's living room window with a snowy Central Park behind me. It would make a great Hanukkah card for next year. As I approached the Dakota, I looked up at the beautiful gas lamps that line the path to the inner courtyard. Instead of having the door person located inside the building like most apartments, they're located outside on a kiosk. I approached the uniformed woman and smiled. I'm Justin Goldblatt, I began.
Oh yes, Mr. Goldblatt.
Mr. Goldblatt. I definitely was expected. I waited for her to call up the Chase and tell him I was here. I was hoping the apartment was on a high floor with a great view all over the east side. As I was fantasizing whether it was on the 10th or 11th floor, she handed me a package that I assumed she wanted me to take up to Chase. Oh, thanks. What apartment?
What apartment what?
What apartment am I going to? I clarified. Needlessly, I thought.
I don't know, sir.
How does you not know? What apartment is Chase in? She shook her head.
I can't tell you that. We're not allowed to give out residence information.
What? She obviously knew that I was expected, but was now acting like I was a crazed fan trying to break in. I took out my phone and called Hubert.
Hello?
He said after it rang twice. Hubert, it's Justin Goldblatt.
Okay.
I guess that meant hi.
Did you get the package?
Oh, right, the one in my hand. Yes, I did. Then I lowered my voice. I just can't find out where to go from the doorwoman.
Where to go? How would the doorwoman know?
It's just getting more and more bizarre.
Just read the letter and the package. I need to go.
And with that, he hung up. I ripped open the package. Inside was a small glass jar of something that looked like lemonade. Maybe it was like a lemony throat remedy for Chase. I looked back at the package and saw a letter. Finally, some info. Turns out, while I was staring up at various windows like an idiot looking for Chase, Hubert and Chase were nowhere near the Dakota. They were already at the theater. Hubert wrote that Chase wanted to get there early to warm up. Then why didn't he take his throat remedy with him? And if they already left for the theater, why wasn't I with them right now helping out? Well, the rest of the letter gave me the answer. Hubert wrote directions that told me where to go today, and it was not to the theater at all. I had to take a subway and a ferry to Staten Island. And then I had to take a bus to a doctor's office, specifically a veterinarian, where I would drop off the jar. Apparently the jar I was holding was not a lemon-based throat soother, it was an ammonia-scented urine sample. According to the letter, Mookie, their dog, possibly had a bladder infection, and Staten Island had the best dog bladder/spleen vet specialist in New York. I hoped I'd be able to drop it off and rush to the theater to watch the rest of the rehearsal. Apparently not, since the end of the letter told me to wait at the vet until it was analyzed. Just in case I thought there was a chance I'd be able to stop by the theater, the letter ended by saying it would probably, quote-unquote, take most of the day. Well, at least I could tell people I spent my first day interning in New York on Broadway. That's right, Dr. Geraci's address is 127 Broadway, Staten Island.